The next day, I went away on the train. A train has a poor memory. It soon puts all behind it. It forgets the cornlands of Illinois, the rivers of childhood, the bridges, the lakes, the valleys, the cottages, the hurts, the joys. It spreads them out behind, and they drop back of a horizon. I lengthened my bones, put flesh on them, changed my young mind for an older one, threw away clothes as they no longer fitted, shifted from grammar to high school to college, and then there was a young woman in Sacramento. I knew her for a time, and we were married. By the time I was 22, I had almost forgotten what the East was like. Margaret suggested that our delayed honeymoon be taken back in that direction. Like a memory, a train works both ways. A train can bring rushing back all those things you left behind so many years before. Lake Bluff, population 10,000, came up over the sky. Margaret looked so handsome in her fine new clothes. She watched me as I felt my old world gather up back into its living. She held my arm as the train slid into Bluff Station and our baggage was escorted out. So many years and the things they do to people's faces and bodies. When we walked through the town together, I saw no one I recognized. There were faces with echoes in them, echoes of hikes on ravine trails, faces with small laughter in them from closed grammar schools and swinging on medaling swings, and going up and down on teeter-totters. But I didn't speak. I walked and looked and filled up inside with all those memories, like leaves stacked for autumn burning. We stayed on 2 weeks in all, revisiting all the places together. The days were happy. I thought I loved Margaret well. At least I thought I did. It was one of the last days that we walked down by the shore. It was not quite late in the year as that day so many years before, but the first evidence of desertion were coming upon the beach. People were thinning out. Several of the hot dog stands had been shuttered and nailed, and the wind, as always, waited there to sing for us. I almost saw Mama sitting on the sand as she used to sit. I had that feeling again of wanting to be alone, but I could not force myself to speak of this to Margaret. I only held on to her and waited. It got late in the day. Most of the children had gone home, and only a few men and women remained basking in the windy sun. The lifeguard boat pulled up on the shore. The lifeguard stepped out of it slowly with something in his arms. I froze there. I held my breath, and I felt small, only 12 years old. Very little, very infinitesimal and afraid. The wind howled. I could not see Margaret. I could see only the beach, the lifeguard slowly emerging from the boat, with a gray sack in his hands, not very heavy, and his face almost as gray and lined. "Stay here, Margaret," I said. I don't know why I said it. "But why?" "Just stay here, that's all." I walked slowly down to the sand where the lifeguard stood. He looked at me. "What is it?" I asked. The lifeguard kept looking at me for a long time, and he couldn't speak. He put the gray sack on the sand, and water whispered wet around it and went back. "What is it?" I insisted. "Strange," said the lifeguard quietly. I waited. "Strange," he said softly. "Strangest thing I ever saw. She's been dead a long time." I repeated his words. He nodded. 10 years, I'd say. There haven't been any children drowned here this year. There were 12 children drowned here since 1933, but we found all of them before a few hours had passed, all except one I remember. This body here, why, it must be 10 years in the water. It's not pleasant. I stared at the gray sack in his arms. "Open it," I said. I don't know why I said it. The wind was louder. He fumbled with the sack. "Hurry, man, open it," I cried. "I better not do this," he said. Then perhaps he saw the way my face must have looked. She was such a little girl. He opened it only part way. That was enough. The beach was deserted. There was only the sky and the wind and the water and the autumn coming on lonely. I looked down at her there. I said something over and over, a name. The lifeguard looked at me. "Where did you find her?" I asked. "Down the beach, that way, in the shallow water." "It's a long, long time for her, isn't it?" I shook my head. "Yes, it is. Oh, God, yes, it is." I thought, people grow. I have grown. But she has not changed. She is still small. She is still young. Death does not permit growth or change. She still has golden hair. She will be forever young, and I will love her forever. Oh, God, I will love her forever. The lifeguard tied up the sack again. Down the beach a few moments later, I walked by myself. I stopped and looked down at something. This is where the lifeguard found her, I said to myself. There at the water's edge lay a sand castle, only half built, just like Tilly and I used to build them, she half and I half. I looked at it, I knelt beside the sand castle and saw the small prints of feet coming in from the lake and going back out to the lake again and not returning. Then I knew. I'll help you finish it, I said. I did. I built the rest of it up, very slowly. Then I arose and turned away and walked off so as not to watch it crumble in the waves as all things crumble. I walked back up the beach to where a strange woman named Margaret was waiting for me, smiling.